What's up, everybody? This is Nick.
And this is Ryan.
And Ryan, we are here once again for another nostalgia talk.
Yes,
we had to double back a little bit.
Change the name.
We had to change the name. Didn't realize, no offense to the ones that already were out there.
The nerds of nostalgia.
The nerds of nostalgia.
And we wish them well. God bless these nerds.
They are very popular. We didn't want to,
yes. We do not want to infringe. They did it first. They did it better. So we will give that to them.
But we are going with nostalgia talk.
Yes.
And speaking of nostalgia talk, last week we did our top 5 movies
of the 1980s.
Of the 1980s, we gave those lists.
Mm-hmm.
If you're watching now, go back and watch that one. Tell us what your top 5 movies were. But today, Ryan, we are doing the top 5 what?
Video games of the 1980s. Now, this could be arcade games. It could be home console games. Any video game had to be released between 1980 and 1989. And because of those parameters we set, there are some great games that could have been included.
Right.
We chose not to. We will wait for the 90s edition. And a perfect example is Super Mario 3.
Super Mario 3,
which technically
was released overseas in 1989 or 88?
88, I think it was.
88.
We didn't see it till 90, though.
Didn't see it till 90 because they are greedy.
Yeah.
And they do not want us to have nice things.
No, I don't think it was that at all.
I think it was.
I think they're probably very nice people at Nintendo. But for whatever reason, we didn't get it in North America until 1990. So
yes.
Super Mario 3, while certainly would have made both of our lists,
great
not
game.
Included because for us it was a 90s game.
It was.
Barely.
It was. So with those parameters, we did take out holiday games. So no Home Alone video game.
Yeah, I think that
Home
was
Alone 2 video
That was
game.
back at the movie podcast, Nick.
Oh, I apologize.
Yeah, so
I do apologize.
Yes.
I get our rules mixed up.
We took out dozens of Christmas games.
And
thanks to the ever popular Thanksgiving genre.
Oh,
video
goodness.
games.
So many games during Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Just really narrowed my
Had to take
list.
them out. We'll do a specific Thanksgiving game.
I may need, now that I know that they're included, I may need to redo my list.
Maybe you should. Maybe you should at that.
So Ryan, let's get started. We'll dive right into this. And if you're listening and you want to tell us your top 5 games, put them down in the comments. We'll comment back. We'll tell you if you're right or wrong.
Yep.
You guys probably have some different ideas than we do. So Ryan, what is your one, in no particular order, one of your top 5 games of the 1980s?
For this one, I'm actually going to start with the earliest game on my list by release date.
Okay.
And this is sort of the granddaddy of them all. One of the games that started the video game revolution, Pac-Man, 1980. Barely slides in, 1980 release in the arcades. Was later ported to the Atari 2600.
Right.
I'm sure as well as some other consoles. But it was a massive hit, obviously. Pac has become a cultural icon. Everyone recognizes Pac-Man.
Some have said Pac is back, though.
I've heard that Pac is indeed back. He's back in a Disney XD cartoon, and he's really never gone away.
He's always been in our hearts.
He's always been in our hearts, but he's always been on our game consoles.
It was.
From, Pac-Man Adventures or whatever they're called. But anyway, the original, still one of the best. I love Miss Pac-Man as well. It was a little faster gameplay. I went with the original on this because I have good memories. Young Ryan with his Atari in the early 1980s playing Pac-Man. And it was so cool because now I didn't have to go to the Pizza Hut or the Showbiz Pizza to play Pac-Man. I could just go right into my living room, plop down in front of the TV, and waste away hours playing video games while Mom no doubt griped at me to go do something productive.
No, Pac-Man was a great game. It was very simple.
And did you have an Atari?
I did have an
Remember
Atari.
the joystick?
I do remember the joystick.
A lot different gameplay. I mean,
it
much
was
more like the arcade where you...
It was a button and a stick.
And so just, a lot different than what the kids today with their gadgets and gizmos and their
the ones today are like a keyboard.
Controllers on their controller.
But
we didn't have that.
But this was a great game because it did launch a series of Pac-Man video games. You mentioned Miss Pac-Man. There was
which is a great game, maybe a little better. I don't know.
not so popular Pac Junior game.
And there was a baby Pac-Man too. That was separate from Pac Junior. Yeah,
there was. Pac Junior was when he grew up.
Okay, which one? Now I'm really reaching back here. If you know it, leave it in the comments. There was one that was a Pac Junior or a Baby Pac-Man. One of them was tied to like a pinball machine. Do you remember this?
I do.
So you played part of it on a monitor as a video game, and then part of it reverted to this pinball machine. And so I remember that briefly. Don't think it ever caught on the way Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man did, which were just in arcades and pizza joints and dry cleaners, or I meant laundromats, anywhere that had empty space. It seemed there was a Pac-Man machine.
Do remember this. I can't seem to find anything on it. That's fine. We won't lose any sleep.
I'm sure some of our loyal.
Oh, I'm sure somebody has it in their home.
So, yeah. So
I know that there was a.
Leave it in the comments.
I know that there was a Miss Pac-Man pinball game.
Was that really?
Yeah, there was a Miss Pac-Man pinball game.
I don't remember that.
Do you remember they had those little tables. At Mazio's Pizza had one.
Here, no, Pizza Hut.
Pizza Hut had one.
So
here in Oklahoma.
We're going local here.
Yeah,
but it was they were cocktail games, or what they're called. They weren't the stand-up cabinets. It was like a cocktail, arcade thing or whatever you call them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, love those. Yeah.
Oh, it was a great time because you'd get your pizza and you'd go over and sit down at this thing and you'd sit there and play some Miss Pac-Man. Yeah. Not only that, you could play against friends because it went around the table.
It was good.
But I mean, it was a fun game. And I do remember one thing that was amazing about the Pac-Man kind of franchise was Miss Pac-Man kind of had and I would sit there and I'd watch people play just to see these cutscenes.
Yes.
They actually had little cutscenes.
The original Pac-Man had it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'd sit there and you'd watch like the little story unfold of how they meet and they have a kid and all that
baby.
But I mean, it was just kind of a neat thing. But yeah, Pac-Man
tugged at your heartstrings.
It did.
Plus, love story.
Plus, it told me the origin story of Pac-Man Jr. and Baby Pac-Man.
Touch a little bit about the birds and the bees.
It did.
Yeah.
That one scene where the
graphic Pac-Man sex scene.
Right.
Yeah, it was awkward and
changed my life. But but Nintendo went bold with it, and I respect it.
At the time, it was strangely erotic.
It was. So I'm gonna move on to one of mine now.
Let's hear it.
I'm going to go with the earliest one for myself. It's a game I spent a lot of time playing. It was Dig Dug.
Dig Dug, yes.
I loved myself some Dig Dug. Yes. When I would go into the arcade, I would go straight to the Dig Dug.
Yep, good game.
It was very simple. You're just trying to kill all the monsters on the screen.
What year did Dig Dug come out?
1982.
1982, okay.
Dig Dug was a 1982 release. Little known fact, I did play, years later, I played Dig Dug 2.
There was a Dig Dug 2?
There was a Dig Dug 2.
I don't remember this.
It was on a different machine, but I played it on my computer.
Okay.
And it was not a fun game.
Yeah.
Not a great game. But I enjoyed Dig Dug. Now, all you're doing is going around eating up dirt, digging, and you are finding these monsters and you are blowing them up with a pump.
Has Dig Dug held up well for you? When you play it now, do you still enjoy it?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. And it not only that, it's one that people enjoy.
Sure.
Because it's even referenced in later games, like Super Smash Brothers has some references to Dig Dug.
Really?
Super Smash Brothers has references to Pac-Man.
Yeah.
And things like that. But I mean, that's the thing is, this was just a fun game.
Yeah. Okay.
So I enjoyed this. Now, did you know there is a name for the Dig Dug character?
I did not know this.
I remember reading this. Let me make sure. He goes by the name Taizo Hori.
Well, it's
obviously Japanese.
Yes.
But it's Taizohori in the Americanized English translation.
Probably butchering that.
Yes, more than likely I am killing that. But I mean, they
I didn't know he had a name.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They named him. They gave, I there's a whole backstory to him.
Okay.
There's if you want to go, you could read it.
Maybe we'll see a Dig Dug prequel soon.
There will be
the story we've been waiting on.
He apparently has a family.
Okay, good.
It's all there.
Sure.
Ryan, if you would have played the game and got into the lore,
yes,
it's all subtly there in the game.
It
You can tell
was probably over my head at the time.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. You just didn't bother looking.
Okay.
You didn't look deep enough.
Okay.
Is what you didn't do.
I'll go back.
But no, I enjoyed this game. It was simple. It was fun.
Good game.
I did hate it when you get to the end, you get to the last monster, and he'd go flying off. Remember they become those little faces.
I never made it to the end.
You never.
Well, no, I was not a championship Dig Dug player.
Well, there wasn't an end. There wasn't an end to the game. I'm
Okay.
just saying, because all you're trying to do is clear out the monsters.
Yeah.
Remember?
You know, Dig Dug was not one that I latched onto like I did Pac-Man.
I understand.
Yeah. So certainly played it, but never spent the hours at the Dig Dug.
This was my Pac-Man.
Here's your go-to.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. All right, Brian. I'll let you go next.
Well, I'm going to go with another game changer, another icon, and that would be the original Super Mario Brothers, which came out in 1985. Once again, premiering in Japan before we got it in North America, I believe.
Right.
I did not see Super Mario Brothers until 1987 when we got our Nintendo Entertainment System. 87 or 88 when we got it. I can't remember.
Of course, released with the original Nintendo was Super Mario Brothers.
Yes. Now, I don't know. I would have to go back and look if the original Nintendo, when it was first released in North America, I don't think Super Mario Brothers was out yet. So I think it had another pack-in game. Later on, Super Mario Brothers came out, and it became the pack-in game. But I don't believe it was a launch title.
I think that was the launch title.
I don't think that it was a launch title, Nick.
Ryan, I
think we will argue awkwardly right here in front of our listeners and viewers.
Well, I don't think that we argue about this, but
we'll look it up. You look it up. Well, I explain what I love about this game.
You tell me about this game and everything that you loved about it and why it's worthy to be on the list.
Well, first of all, it certainly did not introduce us to Mario. He'd been around in Mario Brothers. He had been around in Donkey Kong. I think originally he was known as Jumpman, if I'm not mistaken. And he's just dodging the barrels. Another great game. But Super Mario Brothers sort of gave us the lore of the Mushroom Kingdom. It expanded the story. And it made Mario and Luigi icons.
Wait a minute. You said he was in what?
He was in Donkey Kong.
He was in Donkey Kong, but he also had they also had the Mario Brother video.
Yeah, and I mentioned Mario Brothers.
Okay.
It wasn't Super Mario Brothers.
No, it was
Mario Brothers.
The regular Mario Brothers.
But I would say he did not become the icon until Super Mario Brothers came out. It was just a great game. A lot of fun playing that game. And still enjoy playing it. I actually played a little Super Mario Brothers last night.
The original?
Yeah.
How is it?
Great.
Does it hold up?
Yeah. I actually prefer the remastered, if you could say that, 16-bit version that came out as Mario All-Stars for the Super Nintendo. And they released that on a Super Mario 25th anniversary disc for the Wii, which I still have, and that's how I played it last night. And of course, you can find it on the Virtual Console, the original Super Mario Brothers. Not hard to get a hold of if you want to play it.
Keep going.
Okay, but love this game.
I'm listening.
Great game. Unlike many, I actually enjoyed Super Mario 2. However, it did not make my list. I'm going to go with the original Super Mario.
Well, here's the thing.
Okay.
Actually, on my list is the original, or is the Super Mario Brothers 2 over Super Mario Brothers 1, in my opinion.
You really liked it better.
I enjoyed it better.
Okay. That's an interesting choice.
Here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
In the history of that game, what we over here don't realize, it was a ripoff.
Sure, it was another game. Yeah,
it was
had
a
another life
of another
before
game.
It became Super Mario 2.
It was a game. By the way, that game came out, was released over here in North America October 9th, 1988. Part 2 was.
Yeah.
It is some consider it, actually here, strangely, some consider it the best game in the series.
I would not go that far.
I don't go that far.
Okay.
I do not. But yes, I mean it was a what's the word I'm looking at? Just a reskinning of another video.
So is this on your official list? Have we segued into your number 2 pick?
This is my number 2 pick.
Take it away. Let's hear why you love it.
I love this game simply because it had more story. I not much, but it had more to it, more to bite into. Once again, like I said, it was a ripoff of another game. I'm trying to find out the name of that game. I can't remember what it is called. But anyway, it is rebranded. Hang on. Super Mario 2 began prototype for a vertically scrolling two-player cooperative action game, but was later rebranded into Yome Kojo Doki Doki Panic.
Yes, of course.
Remember that classic game, Doki Doki Panic?
Yeah.
We all loved that. By the way, I
played it last night.
I could not find any information. I will find it by the end of this deal. But Super Mario Brothers 2, I just enjoyed the zaniness of it. You had 4 characters to choose from.
Yes.
You had Mario, who was kind of your standard character. You had Luigi, who could jump high. You had the princess, who could float, and then you had Toad, who was just strong.
Yes.
He could pull stuff up quickly.
Yes.
And each of the levels would play to their strengths.
Yes.
And that was one thing about it is you go through and you choose, you get to know the level, and you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna choose this one for this person.
Did you ever beat it?
I did beat that.
Okay, good.
I beat King Toad or whatever his name was, and I did it by going all the way through. I didn't bother doing warp zones, which there were warp zones in that game.
Mm-hmm.
There were ways to warp forward. There were just the sheer variety of levels was fun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was completely different from, and it still is completely different from a lot of the other games that.
Interestingly enough, it doesn't seem as if Super Mario Brothers 2 introduced a lot of the Mario tropes that have now become iconic and associated with with Mario.
It's unlike anything else in the series.
Mario 3 is still very influential on Mario games and platformers in general.
It is.
Doesn't seem like Super Mario 2 really brought a lot to the Mario story, if you will, or the mythology.
No,
I don't know what word.
No, because it was all a dream.
Yeah.
The game actually ends with Mario being asleep.
You know what? I forgot about that. It was a dream, wasn't it?
It was.
I completely forgot about that. Is it also probably not the only game? In fact, I would say it is not, because there are other games where you can play as Princess, but it is probably one of the few games in the franchise where the princess has not been kidnapped. Do you think that's accurate?
That is accurate.
Okay. I know it's not the only one, because I know, for example, in Super Mario Brothers 3D World on the Wii U, which I really enjoy, you can also play as Princess. Similar thing, you can choose to be Toad, Luigi, Mario, or Princess. Maybe that's a throwback to Mario 2. I don't know. But
and it may be.
Yeah.
But it kind of, the other thing it did, which I think it
gave us a pink dinosaur that shoots eggs out.
Well, it did.
Or his mouth. Yeah.
It gave us that, but it also set up the personalities of each of those characters. Those characters, those personalities did seem to carry over.
That's interesting. Okay.
So what is your third one, Ryan?
Okay, I'm trying to see which one to go with next. I'm going to go for another early 80s arcade classic before I jump back to the world of console gaming, and that would be Pole Position. That was released by Namco in 1982. I loved me some Pole Position, and I loved it because it had the steering wheel right there in the arcade cabinet. And so I would go to our local pizza place, which I don't know why I keep mentioning pizza. Seems like in the 80s that was the go-to place around us to play video games. So I would go and just loved playing some Pole Position. And I loved how when the cars wrecked, no matter what they could wreck into a billboard, it will just burst into flames upon impact.
Yeah.
You had no shot of surviving that wreck.
Yes.
So these were highly flammable cars. Not safe at all. Not well made. But man, I love pole position.
This was the Michael Bay video game.
Yes, it was.
Anything that got hit,
Yes.
it would blow up.
Yes.
I had
a very pixelated explosion.
I had many frustrating hours with that game.
Yes. Wasn't it fun though?
It was fun.
And the steering wheel
but here's the thing. You enjoyed it and it was painful, but at the same time you keep going back.
Well, yeah, you kept going back, yeah. And it seemed like
it's like
every
a bad
place
relationship.
had a pole position.
It is a bad relationship.
It was yeah.
If you know somebody that
wanted to break free,
if you know somebody that's doing that, you tell them to stop. But us as kids were like, no, I'm going to keep going back.
Yeah. And it took a lot of my quarters.
It'll be better to me this time.
Yes. Took a lot of my quarters, but I enjoyed the heck out of that game. Did you like it though?
I did.
Even though it was frustrating.
It was a fun game.
Yes, it was.
It was one that it was kind of one of the first racing games of its time.
Yes, and especially maybe the first more realistic. I mean, I use the term realistic loosely, based upon what we had at the time.
Right.
It was like the most realistic driving game. But I will say this: I recently played it on the Virtual Console, which I love the Virtual Console. On the Wii U, hope they release it on the Switch, but that's another discussion.
Right.
But anyway, recently played it on the Virtual Console, and it did not hold up very well. And the reason why is because I didn't have that steering wheel we had back in the 80s when we were at the arcade. Playing it on the controller is just not the same experience.
No, it's not. The steering wheel added something to it.
Added realism.
It did add realism. Plus, you're behind the car. I even found myself with the controller leaning into it because I'd gotten so used to driving with this at the arcade, but I found myself going, and then trying to turn the.
It's just not the same. So
I was trying to make my original Nintendo into a Wii. At the time. See, I was ahead of the curve there. Right?
Yes.
See, if they would have come to me, I would have said, you know what, you should have done this a long time ago.
Yeah.
I could have beaten pole position.
That's big time. Yeah.
Did you ever remember a game? And this isn't on my list, but there is a game on the Nintendo that was called Rad Racer.
Man, that name's familiar. Oh gosh, I have to look it up.
You're just a car. I mean, it's kind of in the same vein as pole position, but you're just a car and you're like driving cross country and you're trying to get to these checkpoints before you run out of gas or that.
Seems like I remember this game.
Yeah.
But what is your number 3rd pick?
Well, I'm actually calling an audible. It's a game that I was just reminded of, and I'm ashamed to say that I forgot. By the way, Super Mario Brothers, not a launch title.
Yes.
It was.
Thank you.
It was released later.
I was right.
However, I'm throwing in Legend of Zelda.
Okay, so what game are you taking off your list?
Well, we'll come back to that.
Okay.
Legend of Zelda, great game.
Yes.
For first open world game.
Another franchise launcher, another iconic game.
Yes. And I mean, not the first open world game, but one of those.
Yes.
And I mean,
using the term open world loosely.
Yes.
For its time.
Yeah. But I mean, there was many things to do. You had 8 dungeons. You go fight Ganon, and once again, an iconic, like you said, iconic start to a franchise.
Yes.
Part 2 went in a completely different direction, kind of weaker in my point. Some people think it's stronger. I mean, that's up for debate, but it was a completely different style game. I still enjoyed it.
Okay.
But I mean, there were so many different things, so many different aspects to the Legend of Zelda that made it so much fun.
Sure.
You would go through, you would do different things. I don't know if you played it much. I played the heck out of that game. I tried to find every secret.
Yeah.
I would, and of course, I was the guy that would also like take the sword and then hit the old guy that gave it to you, and then he'd start shooting at you.
Am I remembering correctly? Maybe I'm not. On the Legend of Zelda, wasn't there sort of a kind of hard or primitive way you could actually save your game progress?
Yes.
Or am I making that up?
No, there was a way.
Because on NES games, you couldn't. Like when you wanted to beat Super Mario Brothers, you had to play it straight through or use warp zones or whatever.
You had to, I believe on the original disc, it was like you had to hold down the reset button and hit the power button while you were holding down the reset.
Oh, and it would save.
Yes, and
Did
then
you do it? And
you
it
had
worked?
to yes,
Okay.
you had to hold down the reset button, hit the power button, put one leg over your head,
Yes.
pray to the gods of Nintendo,
Yeah.
stick one tongue to your nose,
And then sometimes it would save.
then sometimes it would work.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
This was in the manual.
Did you
all those steps?
Did you beat The Legend of Zelda?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Very cool.
There were two different playthroughs.
Mhm.
There was one that you would play through and everything was in one place, and then they had the harder one, I guess, which some people call the Master Quest or
Mhm.
whatever, and things were moved around.
Yeah.
And I think the difficulty was a little bit harder on that one.
Yeah.
But it was a fun game.
I need to go through and play that game now on Virtual Console and
Yes.
see what I think about it.
It was a fun game.
I'll be honest, at the time of its release, it was not quick enough for me. I wanted more fast-moving
I understand
games.
that.
And so I was not really into any kind of strategy or
Right.
any kind of
No,
quest
adventure
games.
game.
I wanted,
I get that. The one that this did replace, I'm going to replace this game with Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
Oh, great game.
It was a great game.
And still great. Played it on Virtual Console. It's the one with Mr. Dream, though.
Well,
for
yeah,
politically correct reasons.
well-
They've taken out Mike Tyson.
Well, it was also it was that the problem he had, but also the licensing ran out.
Yeah.
So
but my son, who is entering his teen years shortly, enjoyed Punch Out. So
it's a fun game.
Yeah, and he was still into it. I mean,
Yes.
didn't matter that it was primitive graphics by his,
I mean, completely,
yeah.
politically incorrect. I mean,
some of those racial stereotypes where your opponents are.
Buddy,
Wow,
the
I
80s
noticed that.
The 80s were chock full of this.
Yes, but yeah, some of them you're like, could you be any more offensive with like their special moves and abilities and the way they're dressed?
Right.
But yeah,
when Mr. Sandman pulls out a gun and points it at you, I mean that one.
A fun game. Though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's a great. It's a great game.
Yes.
I mean, it really is fun. I enjoyed going to the arcade as a kid, and I remember my dad playing Punch Out.
Mm-hmm.
When the original Punch Out, the one that you were like the green guy with
I don't remember
the netting.
That. Okay.
And you'd fight like Bald Bull and Glass Joe. I mean, there weren't very many.
I don't remember.
There weren't very many guys to fight against.
Yeah.
But that's where you get like Bald Bull and those sorts of things. But yeah, Punch Out was a fun game, and I would try it and not be as good.
But it's not on your list now because you replaced it with Legend.
I had to put Legend of Zelda in there. I'm ashamed to say that I forgot about Legend of Zelda. I hold this game in such high regard. This game was a 1986 release.
Okay.
I hold this game in such high regard that I probably didn't even think about it because it's such a fun game.
Yeah.
I'm
just went without saying even to yourself.
Right.
I'm going to call an audible 2 for my fourth pick.
Okay.
Now
I'm going to make a guess about what you're about what you're just about.
What am I going to say?
I'm going to say that you forgot about Castlevania.
Yes, thank you. Yes. Castlevania is one of my all-time favorite games. You played it at my house recently.
Yes. I remember, I was shocked when you read your list to me. I remember thinking, he didn't put Castlevania
when
on there.
You mentioned Legend of Zelda, I thought of it too. And I think because it's the same thing, Castlevania just sort of went without saying, even to myself, because that may be one of my all-time favorite games. And I love them all.
Also a 1986 release.
Okay. I couldn't remember the year. It was so awesome. That's one that's held up well for me. Play it on the Virtual Console.
It also launched a franchise of games.
And that's still another franchise that's still going.
Yes. I mean, it had so many games to it. They rebooted it recently, and now they're about to reboot it again.
Oh, they are going to reboot it. Okay.
Well, they're doing a Netflix series and all that stuff.
Yes.
But I mean, it was a game that had a ton, and all the Nintendo ones,
yes,
in my opinion, were fun.
They were. Super Nintendo was fun too.
Even the Belmont's Quest.
Yeah.
And then you went to Castlevania 3, where you could choose who you wanted your teammate to be. I mean, there's so many different things of that. I've been playing through. What's the one? is it Rondo of Blood or something like that,
I
or
don't remember.
that's the Japanese name. Anyway, it's the one that we played, that you and I have played.
Symphony of the Night.
Symphony of the Night. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's the sequel. Rondo of Blood is the prequel. Anyway.
Okay.
But fun game, and
Yeah,
not only that, it goes back and forth between. There's like an upside down world to it. I mean, once you beat it the first time, you can play through it again. And
they're all kind of challenging games.
Yes.
Because as you came over recently, we played it on the Virtual Console and the Wii U. It's still a tough game. Like I can't just breeze through the original Castlevania. I need to go download 2 and 3 and then move on to the Super Nintendo incarnations.
I remember on the original Castlevania, I could not defeat Dracula.
You never beat it?
I beat it with the help of my good friend, the Game Shark.
Yes.
But I never could. I could get to Dracula. I could beat his first incarnation, but after that he became this big statue that just jumped up and down.
Yeah. And
I could never beat that thing.
Yeah.
Because
it's a tough game.
After my fighting his first form, I was low on health, and I didn't have.
You have to time some things just right in that game, as you do with a lot of platformers. But there are parts where you're jumping, and then without fail, a bat will fly out right at the time you jump.
Oh yeah,
knock you down, and you go straight into the.
You go into that weird position of when you got hit, and you're like,
yes,
as you fall down, and I don't know why he jumps into this weird fetal position as he gets.
Still
hit.
A great game though.
No, it was a great game.
So let me tell you the game I took off.
What game did you take off?
It is a little known game, not as fondly remembered. Did not launch a franchise to my knowledge. 3D Battles of World Runner.
3D Battles of World.
3D Battles of World Runner. I always just called it 3D World Runner.
Game.
Look it up if you're not familiar with this game.
I think I know this.
Released in 1987.
I played this.
It was one of the first 3D type games on the NES that I remember. I don't know if it was the first, but the first that I remember. If you could, sometimes there were 3D glasses you could wear as you played.
I didn't have those.
I did not have those either.
I wasn't fancy like you, apparently.
I did not have those either. I think I received my copy from a friend or got it used or something, and the glasses weren't with it. This is a great game. Look it up if you're not familiar.
I had my dad rent this game for me.
Yes.
That when I was sick, and I played this game. Not a good choice when you're sick.
The motion.
The stomach with the stomach problems.
Yeah.
Not a good choice. I did, however, feel like I was playing. My character was playing basically a character that was on a patchwork quilt.
No, yes.
Because the world was like all different colors.
It was like a patchwork.
But it was a fun game.
It was fun.
It was very fast paced.
And why this game doesn't get more sort of recognition or nostalgia, I don't know. I don't think it was widely.
No, it wasn't.
I just don't think it was a great seller.
No, I like it. It wasn't a big seller, but it was a fun game.
Great game.
By the way, let me point out something.
Yeah.
Still to this day, I put a lot of hours into Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
Yes.
Still to this day, I still have the code to get to Mike Tyson.
I know you do because you used it at my house.
I did to get to Mr.
What
Grant.
is that code?
It is 00737359963. And the sad part is when you told me you had gotten that game, it was like all of a sudden that number popped.
Well,
back in my brain.
So to set the story for those listening or watching, I texted Nick that I had bought my Punch-Out on the Virtual Console. He texted back with that number.
Yes.
And I texted back, "What in the world is that?" And you had to explain it to me.
I told him it was a hotline to get a hold of a certain type of lady.
It was instantly, so I know he did not look this up. I mean, when I sent it to you within seconds, so you must have just been like,
"Oh no, buddy!" That number just popped into my head, and I was like, buddy, it was one of those beautiful mind scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
I just you said Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, and the numbers came to my mind.
Yes.
So all right, well,
okay. So what's your next choice?
You put 3D World Runner out there.
I took it off my list, so I still have a fifth, but let's get.
I'm down to 2 here. I'm gonna go my next one. My fourth pick, and once again, no particular order. It's a game that I put a lot of hours into, and another game that had a code associated to it that has become known as the Konami code.
Okay.
It is the up, up, down, down, left, right, BA start.
Okay.
That gave you 20 lives so that you could come back and win the game because this game was difficult.
What game is this?
Contra.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look this game up. I know the name. How am I forgetting Contra?
Contra was a great game. It was you were basically, if you played 2-player, you're basically just these over the top army men. And if you look at the picture that comes up at the beginning of Contra, it's basically, I mean, it looks like Dolph Lundgren and Stallone standing back to back to each other.
Yeah.
But a great game.
Yep.
You're fighting aliens.
Yep.
You get, a very difficult game if you didn't have the 20 lives.
So you beat it with the 20 lives?
I beat it with the 20 lives.
What year did you say this came out?
1987.
1987.
It was in the arcade, but later on it was ported to NES.
Sure.
And I did play it in the arcade.
Yep.
So, I mean, great game, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was challenging. It had different styles of play because one level you'd be running this way.
Yeah.
And then every once in a while you'd end up in this facility and you're looking at the bad guys up here and your guy it becomes like a 2D.
Was it primarily a run and gun?
It was, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, not primarily. It was a running gun.
I love run and gun games.
Run and gun games are
that Metal Slug kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this game was just pure fun because you had all of the different upgrades you could get for your gun. You start off with just like a little bullet that would travel slowly, but then you'd shoot things down that would give you like a spread gun or a machine gun or different.
Is this available anywhere currently?
I have no idea. We can look it up. We can look it up later.
Yes.
But yes, this was a classic fun game that when most people think of like Nintendo,
sure,
they think of Contra.
Yeah.
Because it was a big game. Now there was
on the Virtual Console.
There was some sequels that were fun. There was Contra 2, there was Super Contra. There were a lot of these games that it did kind of launch just kind of a mini franchise, but nothing that ever just exploded like you see with Zelda or Mario or any of those types of things.
Somehow this game escaped me in '87. But I am going to get it tonight on the Virtual Console.
3D World Runner apparently didn't escape you, though.
Oh my gosh. But I'm going to get Contra and
Contra was a fun game.
Virtual Console. Okay.
All right. So what's your fifth choice?
The fifth one. Okay. Now remember, this is just by personal enjoyment only.
Okay.
This is not like a critic's choice. This is my choice. It actually got decent reviews though, so I can back this up with critics. I'm going for the original RoboCop game. 1988, arcade version. I had the ported NES version. I got it for my birthday. I remember that so fondly. I was so excited. I could tell you what the box looked like. I could tell you the back of the box. Love this game. Okay. RoboCop was a great game.
You, of course, are speaking of RoboCop versus Terminator.
I am not.
Oh.
That was later for the Super NES, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a terrible game.
Yes, and no. I'm talking. Did you ever play the original RoboCop?
I did.
Okay, great game. I don't know why I love this game.
Maybe it's a simple game.
I mean, this is a nostalgia podcast, and maybe it is the nostalgia of it, of taking me back to sitting in my living room as a kid, just playing through this game. So excited when I opened it on my birthday.
And that may be it.
Yeah.
And it was just a simple. It was basically
I would love
a running
to play
gun.
it now. I do. Yeah. Well, yeah. Kind of beat 'em up, run and gun, kind of hybrid type. I do not have an NES, and I would love to somehow be able to play this game now because it would just take me back to childhood.
And by the way, if you haven't ever played RoboCop versus Terminator, do yourself a favor.
Well, it adds so much to
go play it.
Spoiler alert, RoboCop is responsible for Skynet.
Yeah, buddy, don't tell them.
I'm sorry. Scratch that. I made that up. Play through.
It was a game that I played once, and Ryan and I have made fun of it ever since because of the storyline.
Is it canon, Nick?
I think it is canon. I think they look at it and say, "This is the game. This is the storyline."
This started the shared universe trend we see now.
Yes.
With our Marvels and DC and Universal.
I mean, we could honestly say it's the only one that's done it successfully.
Yes. They share. Yes.
I mean, the other story
Marvel is just ripping them off.
Marvel's a bunch of hacks.
It belonged to RoboCop versus Terminator.
Yeah. I mean that was the perfect combination.
It was.
Nothing better has ever been made, and I will fight anybody that tells me otherwise.
You know, RoboCop was part man, part machine.
He was.
All cop.
But he had the heart of a man. That's what made him different from the Terminators.
Yeah. It was.
You know, it really does touch your heart.
But play if you have access to the original RoboCop. It actually is a very fun video game. I liked it. And you know, a lot of times these licensed movie games don't work out, you know, really well, particularly in the 80s. Bill and Ted, I'm thinking of you.
A lot of them didn't work out.
Yeah.
Bill and Ted, you had...
And a lot of them, I guess, still don't work.
There was a Rambo video game that wasn't any fun, which for some reason you were in caves and fighting giant spiders. And,
the notorious E.T. on Atari.
The notorious
licensed gift property.
Yeah. I mean, buddy, there's very few games that you can look at and go, hey, that movie game was great.
Yeah. There's a few for a whole different podcast, the 90s, but I would argue one licensed video game is the greatest of all time, and that would be GoldenEye 007 on the N64. A lot of people forget that's a licensed property.
GoldenEye, hands down, great game.
Yep.
All right, so for my last and final pick, by the way, 1988 was when that RoboCop game came out. But I'm choosing one that just scrapes in under the radar.
Okay.
Barely makes it in with the 80s. It is the arcade game of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That was a great game.
It was actually released in arcade in 1989. Not to be mistaken with the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles video game on the NES, which was completely different. This is the one where you start off, which actually eventually came out on the Nintendo called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. But you start off with in a burning building, and you fight Rocksteady, then you go fight Bebop. But I mean, it's just a fun game. It was one of the first games that I at least played. I'm sure there were some out there that had like 4-person co-op.
Yeah.
Plus, I was a kid that, as we have shared on other podcasts, or I'll probably share on here, I was enamored with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes, you were.
I mean, the word enamored doesn't even begin to qualify.
And we are planning, maybe even the next episode, a toy episode. If you want to know the king of Ninja Turtle toys, it is this man right here.
I don't know. There's probably somebody out there that has more.
I did not know him in the 80s. But when I still knew him, when I met you in the 90s, he still had them all. I did not see the extent of this collection until a few years ago.
They were up in the attic.
When he cleaned out a lot of this stuff.
Yes.
And he had... We'll talk about this on the toy episode.
This is
more Ninja Turtles than I knew they made.
This is for a later conversation.
Yes.
But this game was fun. Even those that I remember the first time seeing this arcade machine.
Yes, I was about to say that.
I walked into there's a mall that we have here.
Yep.
That had a place that
huge arcade.
I don't remember what the arcade was even called. Le Mans.
Yes.
But I walked in and there were just all these people crowded because the game was at the front of the place. Mm-hmm. And they were just all crowded around this machine.
And here's why I remember seeing that for the first time. It looked so good compared to a lot of games, and better than like the home console games, if I remember correctly. It just looked very vibrant. The colors were good. The detail was good. It was and it was Ninja Turtles,
right,
which were red hot at the time, and we were all obsessed.
I remember thinking that it looked like a Ninja Turtle cartoon.
Yeah, like it was. Looking back, probably not so much.
No.
At the time, for what we had, it was just an amazing looking video.
Well, I will admit, I have recently seen the game.
Yeah.
I went to a place that's here that has a lot of retro arcade games that you can play for free.
Yeah. And
I saw the machine. I mean, the graphics, I will say the game holds up.
Did you play it?
I did.
Okay.
The graphics hold up.
Yeah.
It, not comparatively what we have now, but I mean, it was still a fun game.
Yes.
But I mean, I remember thinking as a child, this looks amazing. This looks like a cartoon. And nowadays, I look at it and I'm like, this does not look like anything I remember. Because in my mind, as a child, you build it up.
Yes.
Because I mean, I even remember thinking when Super Nintendo came out, or not Super Nintendo. I remember when Nintendo came out and Super Mario Brothers was out. I remember thinking, this is incredible. This looks like, I somehow built it up in my mind to be like, this looks like a cartoon. Well, I'm controlling
but
a
it's
cartoon.
all relevant to what we had at the time to compare it to.
Right.
And at the time, things were, I look at my son's video games now, makes me sound like an old man.
Just tell me about it.
He plays the Call of Duties and stuff.
The duties of call.
Yes, and the kids with their duties on call and stuff.
I will get you with my cane and get off my lawn.
It really does look so real.
It does.
And authentic.
It does.
I mean, individual, blades of grass blow. I mean, just stuff like this. And I think, man, in my day, we didn't have that. But what we had looked really good. I remember after the Atari, the NES looked like, holy cow.
Yeah.
It was a leap forward.
Now Super Mario Brothers 2 did have moving grass.
It did.
You would go and
you are correct. You could dig up the vegetables.
Yeah, you could dig up the vegetables and it'd be weird. It'd be moving.
Yeah.
You'd throw them at bugs. And it was a really, we truly lived in the great age at that time, right?
It was like we were there.
Some call it the Renaissance of video games.
Yes.
But
it's like we were there.
No, I mean these games were fun. There was a lot more that we could talk about.
Yeah,
at some
and
point,
we will.
At some point, we need to look into like the top 5 worst video games.
Oh, buddy,
that we played.
Yeah.
I mean, top 5 movies we've ever seen, or worst 5 movies we've ever seen. I don't know. That time in our lives where we were playing those video games. I mean, I will say that was something. Those games were incredible to me. They taught me a lot of things as far as learning how to, at least because part of my background is in computers. It taught me a lot of things about pixels, about learning how to navigate those things, and years later being able to understand what it was that I was doing back then.
Sure.
And so these types of things were just, I mean, it was incredibly fun time.
Yeah.
Because you could come over, you could play with your friends, you could do, I mean, I remember I played Super Mario Brothers with friends of mine next door. I did all sorts of things, and that was just an incredibly fun time.
And it's fun looking back.
It is fun looking back.
And it's fun going back and playing these games. So I encourage you, if you can find them, live out your nostalgia. Go to your virtual console or wherever and play some of these classic games.
Go to your closest virtual console. Yes. Give it a hug. Pet it a little bit.
Yes.
And play these games.
Yeah. Good stuff though.
And you know what? We have another podcast. This is Nostalgia Talk, but we also have another podcast up on the Pull Up a Chair Network here. Eric and I do a podcast. Ryan, anything that you want to plug right now?
No, nothing right now. Just want to say stay tuned for our next episode. I believe we'll be talking about 80s and maybe even early 90s toys that we loved. I am just an action figure fanatic, so I'm looking forward to this episode.
Well, it'll be fun. We'll talk about those sorts of things. One day we're going to have to talk about, Eric and I have kind of already done this, but we'll have to talk about our top 5 cartoons, Saturday morning cartoons that we loved, and that sort of thing. But here's the thing: if you're listening to this and you want us to talk about something, or there's a part of your nostalgia you would like us to talk about, please leave it in the comments. If you enjoy what you're listening to, like and subscribe. Tell us how we're doing. Leave us a comment. Give us some advice, positive feedback. If you don't like Ryan's face, tell us.
Yes.
If you don't like, if you like my face,
I'm not a fan of it myself.
If you like my face, make sure you tell me.
Yeah.
But guys, tell us how we're doing.
And if you do like it, also maybe leave a kind review.
Yes.
On iTunes or wherever you get your podcast. That is one of the best ways you can support this show. And it'll just take a moment of your time.
That's right. So, Ryan, any final thoughts before we move on?
Enjoyed it. Thank you for watching or listening, and look forward to seeing you next time.
All right. And I hope you enjoyed it because we enjoyed it too. And have a great day.